Over 70 million people worldwide stutter. And I am one of them. But the weird thing is that I love public speaking. That's where it gets a little tricky. I want to talk to you about how vulnerability saves. See, I become vulnerable with almost everyone that I meet because my stutter can be so unpredictable. For instance, I struggle with the letter T. And my name is Terrell. Because of this, my stutter is often the first impression that I make. And the feeling of anguish is the first impression I receive of others. I can see the agony on your faces as you try to hold yourself back from finishing my sentences. And by the way, it's more than just finishing my sentences. You are taking my words and making them yours. But I don't need to be rescued. In fact, it's the inability for me to hide my vulnerability is what saved me. But it hadn't always. See, years ago, I had just gotten engaged. I was so excited and telling everyone. And my boss at the time announced it to the entire staff. Man, that was a beautiful day. Most congratulated me, but a few, of course, gave me their condolences. And then he continues to say, "How did you ask her?" A fair question, right? Everyone loves a good proposal story. But then he continues to say, and I quote, "Did you say, will you marry me?" My heart dropped. See, I thought he was celebrating with me, but instead he was mocking me. The next 15 seconds felt like 15 hours as they all laughed. It took me 3 years to quit that job. 3 years. But that day that I quit changed me. It changed my view of my weakness. I began a journey of redefining my stutter. After all, we all have weaknesses that we hide or at least try to. But it's hard to keep my weakness a secret when it comes out every time I say my name. My stutter forces me to become vulnerable with everyone that I meet. So I needed to embrace it. To begin my journey, I felt like I needed to call out my weakness, to minimize its power. But that's not being vulnerable. No, that's being defensive. I was transparent, sharing pieces of me in a controlled way. A part of what I was hiding was anger. I was angry at the world for my stutter. It felt unfair. I'm smart, likable even, but my stutter crushed my confidence. One day, though, I had enough. And I took a drastic step. Ready? Wait for it. I bought a journal. And I poured out my fear, anger, and resentment in it. This gave me the clarity that I needed to be my unpolished and unprocessed version of myself. But writing in the journal wasn't enough. Nope. I needed to do more because no one would read that. So I took the next logical step for a millennial. I made a YouTube video. And I shared how my 4-year-old self learned that he was different from a random little girl in the grocery store. I saw what one act was doing. My vulnerability really was saving others. See, I knew I was changing the way that I was thinking. But what I hadn't counted on was the influence that my vulnerability would have on others. Because I became vulnerable without hesitation or agenda, it formed a safe place for others to do the same. We all have weaknesses, and they suck. But our vulnerability saves. And when we find the strength to be unpolished and authentically vulnerable, we don't just change our lives, but the lives of those around us. We realize that we are not alone. Hiding our weakness breeds isolation and loneliness. But redirecting our weakness into vulnerability breeds deep community. I mean, can we truly connect with the world if we don't become vulnerable? No. Because it is our weaknesses that allow us to truly connect. And these weaknesses are our shared challenges. Keeping these challenges to ourselves breeds isolation, allowing us to live life with closed hands. But if we become vulnerable, open ourselves up, and open our hands, only then can we save ourselves and save others. Thank you.